Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The New Nasty Boys. I'm your co-host this morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you decide to watch or listen to this thing, Billy DeVore. And sitting next to me is my co-host,
Sweet. What's up, Nasty Nation? Welcome back to the Fart Dutch. Good to have you down here.
Ooh, we're in it, baby.
Mm-hmm,
we're doing it. I can't really smell because we're starting to transition into fall finally, so it's very... I can't tell if it's farts or if that's snot.
No, I got you, brother. I'm smelling snot as well. I'm getting a little bit of blockage in the nasal cavities. I've been just dealing with that whole dry nostril stuff. It's terrible.
Terrible. Sorry, I got a text from somebody that was... I got the highlight on my laptop when it said Bob Nightingale. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, shit. Maybe it's something that we're going to talk about. Instead, this is something I forgot that we probably should talk about. Bob Nightingale tweeted, Texas Rangers security addressed their players today to prepare them for all scenarios on Thursday for the Oakland A's final game at the Coliseum with a sellout crowd. They're thinking that the fans are going to, riot.
Really?
They're pissed.
So they think the Oakland A's on the last game are going to do something crazy? It's sold out?
The fans? Oh, dude, what? They have nothing to lose. Think about it.
I get that. That's a little crazy. Well, I guess it does make sense to be a little bit prepared for it, but at the same time, that does make it a bit, that'd freak me out.
It would freak me out too. I don't blame the Rangers. I would prepare my players the same way, but if I'm also in that crowd and I've been a loyal fan like I have for the Reds for, 34 years of my life, and they're like, hey, we're taking this from you. We tried, and you have a ticket to the last game. I'm taking my seat.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the amount of things I'm going to get that home plate.
Yeah, yeah, I'm taking third. I'm getting on that field. What are they going to do?
Yeah, I've been going here for years. This is my keg of beer. I'm taking it. These are my copper pipes.
Yeah. Guys, we're going to kidnap the mascot. Mm-hmm. We're going to let Tim go out of the suit, but we're keeping the suit.
Put him on a spigot, just rolling him around.
Because this elephant ain't going up to Sacramento, I'll tell you that. It stays in Oakland.
The elephants never forget. Yeah, dude, I would, fuck yeah, I would definitely take something. If I got screwed because of money, because people were just being cheap, yeah, I'm going to do something a little cheap myself.
Yeah, I'm going to strip that place of its copper, dude. Mm-hmm. I'm getting in the rafters, and I'm making something off of John Fisser's ass.
Yeah, this is my flat screen. You guys don't need all of them. I'm taking all the bags of nacho cheese. Yeah. I'm going to the concession stands, taking all the non-perishables. You know how many bags of non-popcorn I'm going to take?
Oh, dude. You just are like, you know what? You guys definitely don't need these gift bags.
Yeah.
I'm taking all of them.
I'm taking all your frozen pretzels.
You know what? I bet on eBay in a couple of weeks we'll see a roller grill from Oakland Coliseum.
Gently used for 23 years or whatever it was.
One roller bar does not work. Only squeaks.
They put a little teeny tiny tarp over that. Never sell this out. It's never full. Never been full.
Yeah, we've just used the top 3 rows for Big Red Smokies. It's been fine. So yeah, that's such a shame. I feel so bad for that fan base, like we've talked about. But the shame is it's finally here and it's over. And then Fisher writes that letter, just like, I'm telling you, we tried. I'm like, no, you didn't. You wanted to leave. You're a cheap asshole.
Yeah, they are. Well, I wish the best of the Oakland A's fans because that is such a bummer to have such loyalty to a team. I feel that, and things aren't looking good for you. Then all of a sudden you get an even bigger carpet sweep. And yeah, get your money's worth, Oakland A's.
Yeah, go
fans.
Get it, dude. And you hope with expansion coming up soon that they could find a way to get a team in Oakland again. But who knows how long that'll be. But it sucks. I feel for him. Mm-hmm. How was your week?
It was fun. I think it was kind of busy. Was it 4 shows at the Comet with Luke Knoll, Cincinnati dude. Mm-hmm. SNL, I think, is what the little show he was on for some time or whatever. But it was fun at the Comet. It was a great time. 4 fun shows. And then after that, just dealing with some car situations. Always perpetual car situations.
It's crazy. You're the only person I know with a Honda that just isn't working.
I know. Well, it was kind of out of precaution. My car was making some weird noises. I was about ready to go on to some road gigs, and I didn't want to have a situation where I broke down in Indianapolis again. So decided to take it in. Something about the wheel bearing and my queef palette. They said,
yeah. I mean, it is refined here in the fart dungeon, but not clean enough.
Yeah, and then I got a punk bitch fee. But,
yeah, that's normal.
But yeah, so I gotta pay for some stuff for my car to make sure it's functioning.
Isn't the punk bitch fee the actual Midas touch?
I think it is, but I touched it with my mouth.
Oh, got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh man, getting touched with someone else's mouth.
That's a muffler for you. But
sorry, I was just thinking about what happened to me at the Coliseum again. That's all.
Oh yeah,
just having a sweaty flashback.
But that was it wasn't too. I mean, the shows were fun, but dealing with the car situation, not the most fun. But other than that, it was a pretty good week. What do you got going on, buddy?
Dude,
what happened
I
to you?
was so busy. It was great. Jake flew into town from Seattle.
Yeah. Oh, we went to a game.
We
did. That was awesome.
We went and saw Rhett Lauder pitch in the extreme heat.
Yes.
That was brutal.
Yeah, it was terrible, and I run hot regardless, but seeing the heat cooking, and I felt bad for you guys. Alicia, I felt bad for too.
Oh, she was feeling a little rough from the night before.
Yeah, so we stayed in that sun for a little while, 2 innings, I think. Like, let's get in the shade, let's get some beverages. But yeah, that was brutal but fun.
Yeah, it was so fun. The frosé was delicious.
That was pretty nice.
And it was so hot that it was frosé for a while that it just became warm rosé.
Yeah, it was warm alcohol.
Which, yum, yum, yum. That thick, syrupy goodness. So Friday we went to Vampire Weekend.
Tight.
Vampire Weekend. Alicia and I are very attached to that band. Since they started, we grew up with them. And one of our cats is named after the lead singer. Ezra Koenig, my cat, my baby boy cat Ezra, named after him. And the first song for our first dance at our wedding was a Vampire Weekend song.
Aww.
And they played it.
Oh, that's great. You guys danced to it.
We did a little dance.
Oh, I saw that photo you sent me. It was a sweet. It's a keeper.
It was a keeper. Might have to get it framed. It was a nice one. But yeah, they were fantastic, dude. They played everything I wanted to hear. It was an incredible show. We were in the right spot, so the sound didn't suck. Because if you go like outside of the cone of sound that they make for that outdoor area at the Brady, it sucks. So
really?
We got a really good spot, nice and close. Fantastic. Then Saturday went to the Reds game with you, and then we went to the sports book afterwards. Then Sunday went to the Reds game. Recover a little bit, hung out at home, went to the sports book. And then Monday, went to that game. That awful game at PayCor Stadium.
Man, how long do you think it's going to be before you see people just like headlong diving off the Purple People Bridge?
Oh, dude. 2 more weeks.
I was thinking it was going to start happening after the past loss. But, dude, people are getting really depressed in Cincinnati right now.
Oh, my God. It's rough. I mean, first on Sunday night, you sneak in the David Bell news leading into Monday, and then they just go and defensively, no better other way to put it, shit the bed.
They did, man. They got bullied around for 4 quarters.
They got bullied by a guy making his 3rd start in the NFL.
That was rough to watch, man. It just seemed like we are playing against a better team that we should be dominating.
We should. The line before the game was 7.5, and I was like, that's a little high. I was thinking it should be like 5.5, maybe. So I teased it down to 3.5 on one book and got a 5.5 at another book, and then they lost. By that much, they just straight up fucking lost. Dude, it's just embarrassing to watch that defense where, you're without BJ Hill, you're without Sheldon Rankins. They didn't bring back DJ Reader. And the big problem with this defense has been, and has been since he left, Jesse Bates not being back there at safety. That he was a huge run stopper. He actually was a great tackler, and he was a killer center fielder. And they have just not replaced it properly. They've replaced with well, hopefully he works.
Yeah, just patching it together. And his injuries, too, that they're having. It just seemed like they were playing in a much different league. It was hard just being able to wrap my brain around just how terrible it was. And also, I think a lot of us in Cincinnati are like, oh man, at least the Bengals are coming up. At least the Bengals going to we get to watch a winning team here. Then all of a sudden they go 0-3, and everyone's looking around like, what? What do I do now?
What do I do on Sundays and some Mondays and some Thursdays?
Just more depression.
Just play your PS5. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, but that's what you get for being in Cincinnati. It humbles you.
It does. It's like they get you all hyped up. They get you like, man, there's a lot of potential here. And then either they spend their money weirdly, Jamer Candelario, or they don't spend their money, Mike Brown, and say, we like to operate with cap space.
Who cares? We don't want to protect our biggest assets.
No,
it doesn't matter.
Who gives a fuck? Come on. We only want to pay for one side of the ball.
The fans are just happy to be here.
Oh, my God. Right. Dude, and watching them, like, you were asking your safeties and DBs to step up and tackle Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson Jr. and Jalen Daniels for an entire game. Good luck, because you didn't get any pressure up front.
No, man, that was perplexing. It's just like, are our defensive tackles in the interior, like, is it just not good?
And tackle-wise, no, they were getting zero penetration. So if your tackles don't get any penetration, then you're not allowing your ends to work on the outside and get more pressure to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, it's going to step up, and it's just like, all right, I don't have to worry about these guys.
No, and then it all collapses, especially because they're running with 2 linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 safeties, 3 DBs, and you're like, you want those little guys to take down those big fellers? That's not going to happen. We're screwed. It's just schemed poorly with a personnel staff that's built to only play defense against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And not any type of running attack. If this is how bad it looks against the Commanders, when the Ravens get to town and the Steelers, the way that they're playing,
we're
we
toast.
Are fucked. No,
Yeah.
we're fucked.
We are.
It's bad. It's bad, man. So I hope that they can turn it around, but I was listening to the Growler, Daner's podcast, and their statistic is they're a team that goes 0-3 to make the playoffs. 2.4% of those teams have ever done it. So,
oh man, looks like, well, I'll be cheering for the Reds here come again in 2025. So I gotta get to look forward to that. But at least we got FCC. At least they're doing something.
Yeah,
isn't it crazy? We're gonna see a soccer championship team.
Yeah.
Before we see a championship in our lifetime, really, with the Reds and Bengals.
Yeah, I believe that, because they actually are trying so hard. They're trying hard. Okay, that's totally unfair. It's easier to develop for MLS because they get to choose from the world and bring people in for a lot cheaper than what it costs to operate and pay a professional baseball team and a professional football team.
Well, at least they're being successful with the talent that they're going against and the other organizations, whereas football, baseball, my God, why does it always seem like it's just not for us? Winning isn't for Cincinnati, it seems like.
No idea. What was so wild last night, I'm sitting in these seats and there's this lady in front of me. She's got to be probably mid, early 60s. Big hair.
Yeah.
Big, long, fake acrylic nails. And we're halfway through the third quarter, and she's texting, and I can read her text because each letter's the size of the screen.
Oh, I bet.
Right? And she's just going, just crossed her arms, and then at one point, she's on her phone, and she just clicks, and she's doing it like flat-fingered because she couldn't touch with her nails, right? And slowly she's just typing out, selling all my seats.
That's awesome.
That was the whole sentiment in that stadium after this. Everyone's like, how is this happening?
Yeah.
They're so angry.
Yeah, man, it seemed like an entire stadium extremely frustrated and about ready to revolt. And I think we are on the precipice of that.
We are. We're very close.
We are so close becoming the Oakland A's.
Oh, my God. Oh, dude. No, we're not that close.
I don't know, man. Have you seen the people in Cincinnati? They're rough.
They're rough. You know what? You're not wrong. Well, here's the thing that's crazy. Mm-hmm. They gave that proposal because, the stadium deal's coming up. Mm-hmm. And they presented all these things, like these new clubs, these new areas, building this out and all of it. And then they went and they presented it to Hamilton County. and it would cost $1.2 billion.
Well, so far they're making a great argument for it to not get it.
Yeah. So they're like, what? It's like, yeah, the Bengals are going to pick up 10%. The taxpayers pick up 90% of the bill. No, thank you. And then, the Reds are up in a couple years, so... Oof.
Yeah, you're going to have to do better than 0-3.
Yeah, 0-3, and you're going to have to do better than the last time you won a playoff series was 1995. So...
Get used to the stadium looking exactly the way it is.
Look, we're trying. Are you? Okay. It was pathetic. And you know what? Look, knowing Joey B and knowing this team and how they normally start 0-2 and they turn it around, this is a whole new ballgame with 0-3. And can they turn it around? Defensively, I don't know.
It seems like there is just too much ground to cover. Looking at that team, it didn't seem like a professional team playing another professional team.
No.
So even just like from the first game when they were playing the Patriots, seeing how bad they were, it was like, how is this really even like? How are they this far apart?
Yeah.
And knowing that the Bengals have much better talent, and then they go to play the Chiefs, but. Yeah. Like you've said before, the Bengals are a team designed to just play against and try to beat the Chiefs, so they played pretty well.
Yeah.
And then it seems like they just didn't show up and shit the bed against the Commanders, and it was one of the most pathetic displays I think I've seen from this group of Bengals.
Yeah, dude, they are just getting out physicaled, and that's crazy. And it's so funny you said it didn't even seem like they were playing like in the same league. Cam Taylor-Britt said after the game, he called it a college offense. It was a college style like offense.
So you should have been able to handle it.
Yeah, you should have been able to stop him. Didn't. So we'll hope for the best, and hopefully we just don't get picked apart by Andy Dalton and the Carolina Panthers next week.
How hilarious would that be?
Dude, wild. How about this stat? Did you see the only players all season to throw for 3 touchdowns and over 350 yards were Joe Burrow and Andy Dalton this week? And all season long.
So weird.
And one of those guys won. Won. God damn it. It's just infuriating.
Really is, brother.
It is. And being there, I was just like, man. I mean, Jake looked at me and was like, I planned my trip around this. I just threw money away. I went, yeah, man.
Dude, the Reds and Bengals are so bad. They're affecting like our sort of like people like vacationing here.
Oh, yeah. They got to rename the banks. I think it just should be just called like the disappointments. Like,
yeah,
that's just how it's been this whole year so far. There is still time for the Bengals to turn around. They could go on a miraculous run. I just don't see it happening. But in the meantime, I'm still very, very angry.
Well, good thing we don't have a sports podcast.
Yeah, good thing, huh?
No, we don't have to live in this misery.
No, thank God. We're almost to the best part of the season, though, dude.
Yeah,
which is the playoffs.
I know,
dude.
right?
It's the playoffs. We're going to talk all about it next week because the playoffs start next Tuesday. Last game of the season Sunday. We record Monday. It'll come out Tuesday morning with our playoff preview and our picks for moving on. And we'll do all of the playoffs. We'll get through the World Series, and then we'll take a break until something happens with the Reds, which would be after World Series 5 days after, is if Nick Martinez will opt out, and if they will restructure and re-sign him before he leaves the building. I hope that they restructure and figure out how to keep him while he's still in the building, which is your best time to sign him. Yeah,
there'll be some positive momentum coming off of the heels of some other like cleaning house stuff. Let's do some other things while we're at it. You know?
Yeah. Hey, Nick's in the building. You know what? Why don't you not opt out? How about we just offer you a new contract?
Yeah, while you're here, we're taking care of some stuff. So let's get this out of the way with before next year starts.
Yeah, and if they're already doing these evaluations of players, managers, coaches, all up and down throughout the organization, majors, minors, developmental league, do it now while you still got them in there.
Yeah.
Because you clearly already took care of one.
Yeah, when we're looking at all essentially the resume for the players that they turned in this year, I think Martinez is going to be at the top of your re-sign list as far as, I mean, of course, minus the other ones that are the key standouts. But the guys you want to see definitely come over and not leave, Martinez, why not sign him?
Yeah, that is one of your needs, which is a fifth starter. And you can address it while it's still the calendar season for 2024. Okay, let's really launch into it. We talked about Nick Krall's comments last week, and we said it was kind of a nothing burger. How he said that everyone would be evaluated at the end of the season, and that David Bell was under contract, but everyone will be evaluated. Well, looks like they evaluated him before the end of the season and cut ties with him on Sunday night after giving him an extension last season in July for 3 more years. The Reds are going to eat 2 years of that deal and let David Bell go home and hang out.
Yeah, I was very surprised to hear this. I thought they would give him at least another year, of course, with the contract, but also you figure with the amount of things that was outside of David Bell's control, figure give him the opportunity to see whether or not the anomaly of this year truly was or wasn't on his plate. So when this dropped, I was not expecting it.
No, but a lot of the things that David Bell can control, which is fundamentals, which was a lot of errors in the infield and outfield. The base running, where they were stealing bases and being successful, and then they got caught more than not, which is straight from the horse's mouth of Nick Krall. Those are things that you can control when you're a manager because you're doing it with your game planning, saying, hey, we're going to be aggressive on the base paths with a lot of reckless abandon.
And not really reining it in or figuring out how to adjust. It felt like other teams adjusted to our style of play, and we didn't take that necessary step.
Yep. It felt like every 2 out of 3 times Ellie got caught stealing because he would get to first and then just go. And it was like, where's the adjustment? Where's him baiting them? Where's the situation where it's like, hey, here's the tell from this catcher and this pitcher. From breaking down the film, this is what they do. This is who you're going to be seeing today. This is when you go. Instead of just being like, I'm Ellie De La Cruz. I'm fast. I'm going.
Yeah, they were figuring out stuff. There was a lot more pitch outs successfully being played against the Reds. So it did feel like they were able to, I guess, watch more film on seeing when the Reds style of play likes to go versus, us trying to analyze the opponent and figure out, okay, how can we improve now?
Exactly. And it never felt like they got better with it throughout the season. They were just like, this is what we do. We live and die by the sword.
It did really even feel like our steals went down, at least success rate, progressively throughout the year.
Right. Yeah, no, it didn't. It felt very steady where it was a coin flip most of the time. So that is something the manager controls. That's something his staff controls. That's outside of the responsibilities of the general manager. Let's get that straight.
Not so much. I'm going to throw on there as well, just thinking about small ball here. How many times did we see a player get thrown out at home for the Reds on a contact play on some stuff? Like, how many times did a ground ball get hit to a third baseman that was playing up and one of our runners that was on third decided to run? There was a lot of contact plays that just, it seemed like were not working for the Reds. We kept doing it.
Yeah, and how many games did that cost them?
A ton.
And especially in one-run games, which is another thing Krall said in the press conference. It cost them, I mean, that's when you look at the Pythagorean theorem. That's when you look at the projections. That's when you look at the run differential. And you go, these are the things that cost us games to not match where we should have been and been in the playoff push. Was all of those things.
Yeah, the Reds did score a lot less runs this year. However, their run differential, actually, I'm not even sure if that's even correct what I just said. If they did score more or less runs than they did last year. But the run differential was bigger, but when you look at the amount of one-run games that they lost, it was a bunch. And that isn't on the side of the offense that's giving you those runs. That's in how the manager is applying that offense.
Sure. And one of the things that Krall didn't bring up, and I think that we're going to see a philosophy switch with the next person, whoever it may be, was putting your quote-unquote best pitcher, reliever, in the high leverage situation, like bringing out Alexis Diaz in the 8th. And we have beat this horse to death, saying they did it with Raisel Iglesias, and then they did it with Alexis Diaz, and look how it worked out. And I think that's a philosophical difference right there. And that's another thing Krall said, is that our philosophies were not lining up. And I think that was probably one of the big differences where Bell was like, look, I'm going to use my guy who I think is going to give us the best chance in the situation. And Krall was like, well, he's actually just a closer. And Bell went, my team, I was here first.
Yeah, so those are things that, I'd like to see more behind the scenes stuff, but the fact I was surprised that Krall was as transparent as what he was. Granted, he was still playing it close to the vest, but still, there was more answers that they got out of that press conference than I thought they were going to.
Yeah, Krall was obviously nervous. This was the biggest, probably one of the bigger moments of his career, a career-defining moment, honestly, that you're firing your manager before the end of the season like this. His first time doing this. And so, yeah, he's a little nervous. He's a little shaky. And he seems like a guy who really doesn't want to talk to people in general.
No, he seems wants to hang out behind a computer screen, look at his numbers, and figure out how this deck of cards is going to stack. So, yeah, not a guy that's going to be in front of camera a lot, but I felt he handled it well. And he did do, I think, a more than serviceable job of giving us enough of an answer into it and what, we are should get, because it's also someone losing their job, getting fired. So a lot of that stuff is going to be private. But I think they did show us enough of their philosophical differences to where it's just like, okay, we aren't going to find a nice path going forward. And
you could tell that the philosophical difference too. Like, and when he said that, and then them also firing Jeff Pickler, game planning, fielding, manager. And then Bell's manager. Those are the two guys that you have pointed out with there's your problems. That's where we're going to start. Get them out of here. But I also think that the reporters in that room did a great job pushing and getting the answers from Krall, because I felt, you build a rapport being in that press room and talking with them every day. And this is one of those moments, too, where the writers are like, this is a big moment for me. I got to get the right answer. And they pushed hard enough, and then Krall was transparent enough. There was a few things where he's like, I'd like to keep that internal. And then he got pushed by Jason Williams, who I do not like his writing 99% of the time. But he went out there, and he said the big thing that got us the answer that we needed, which was, he's like, what philosophical differences did you disagree upon? I feel like you need to be more transparent considering the success this franchise has had the past 30 years. And then Krall, you watched his body language change. And he perked up and he went, boom, 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 boom. You loved to see that.
Yeah, that was great, man. Put him up to the line. Give us the answer.
Yeah, come on.
This is why we're here.
Yep, you got to give us something to chew on instead of just putting out a press release on Sunday night at 10 p.m. This is where you said we're doing a presser, we're getting answers. And what also Krall said was that the decision was his and he approached ownership. And it wasn't a push from ownership. It was all on him, and that he wanted to make this move. This was his decision. Do you buy that?
Well, if he's going to be the one to take responsibility for it, I'll say that, there's a good chance that maybe the majority of this decision was his, but there's no way he's not having these conversations beforehand leading up to this with other people getting their input. So, he's the one making the call, and he's probably the protagonist of it, but there's probably other people that have similar, theories and agreements with him, but if he's the one saying he's responsible, then sure, he's responsible. Yeah,
I bet him, ownership and the GM, Brad Mender, had these conversations, and it was on their mind, and they were thinking about it, going, you know what? Yeah, we got to fix this now. We got to send the signal now, because if you send it now, you're also sending that you're going to really push in 25.
Yeah, that was the one. Well, a couple things. That was a positive thing I got out of this, is that they're introducing accountability regardless of the things that, all the variables that went into the season that may have been even outside the control of a manager. Just saying like, hey, we didn't get the outcome that we wanted, and there's some things that we just can't see eye to eye on, so why would we go down, a path that isn't going to get us to where the goal is?
Right. And let's also get started earlier. Even if it's a week, we can get started earlier. And not do it behind David's back, where that's weird. You're working in the same building, and you're making phone calls, and they'll be like, dude, it's like trying to get a girlfriend when you're still dating your girlfriend.
Yeah, just hedging your bets.
You're hedging, and then like one of those girls is going to call the other one to be like, "Did you guys break up yet?" And she's like, "No, I thought David was cool." And they're like, "No, oh, well, he asked if I wanted to like hang out." They're like, "Well, that's weird because he just asked me to go to the movies on Thursday." Oh, that's fucking weird.
He asked me to homecoming.
Right. He fingered my beef.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like that situation where you might as well get him out of the building. Actually, well, he left the building, and then Nick was like, "Hey man, can you come back?" And then he came back, and he's like, "You're gonna need to grab your stuff.
By the way, on your way out of here.
You're on your way out of here. Gonna need your badge and your gun."
Yeah, initially I kind of felt like it was kind of like a bad move to fire someone like that close to the end of the season, but it's not uncommon for them to do that. But also, I kind of like the idea of them introducing a little bit of fear and the accountability, have that ripple through the clubhouse where these young guys are like, yeah, nothing's set in stone here, and we still need to produce.
Yeah. Hey, don't be comfortable. There's 5 games left. Clearly didn't work tonight, but it was still just like, hey, no one's safe.
Give them something to talk about.
Well, I mean, there are dudes who are safe, and we'll talk about that next week, but it's more of the idea where it's like, this isn't just same old business coming up in 25. We're really pushing.
Yeah.
The window is going to be open. Mm-hmm. The Cardinals aren't going to get any better.
Yeah, so I really enjoy that aspect of them saying, like, hey, no excuses here. We are pushing for playoffs.
Yep, we are pushing for playoffs. This is where this team needs to be. I think another reason that it happened early, not just for them to get a jump on it early, was on Saturday or Friday night. Mm-hmm. Brandon Williamson goes out there, and this is something that we had talked about all season. We're like, what's going on with his shoulder? What's going on with his shoulder? What's going on with his shoulder? We didn't hear anything. We heard he got an injection and that he should be fine. And then we watch him go out there, and we're like, where's his curveball, his best pitch? Mm-hmm. And then he finally started throwing it again. And then he goes out there, and his UCL snaps because his shoulder wasn't right. Mm-hmm. And then on Sunday, Hunter Green goes out there, throws 3 innings, and after having the incident with the cabinet with his elbow, why is he going back out there for 3 innings? You have him signed for a long-term deal, and you already lost Williamson for the whole year now because of this incident with his elbow when his shoulder should have been corrected. And like we've talked about, dude, when he was in San Francisco, he was a part of, player medical liaison kind of thing. Mm. And we saw it again this year with what happened with CES, what's happened with these weird injuries where it's like, Jamer's batting 121. Why is he batting 121? He looks awful. Oh, he's been playing with a broken toe for 3 weeks.
Yeah, or just trying to push it off on some other injury, and then that sort of thing, like, oh, it's not this, it's going to be this, and then that inflammates the other injury. It seems like it was so strange the entirety of the year with having these medical issues, but yeah, it's just hard to pinpoint what exactly is going on here, and if there is something going on, like we saw Brandon Williamson. Was that going on the entirety of the year?
Yeah, and guess what? He was probably transparent with the medical staff, and he was probably like, I fucking know better than you. I'm David Bell. I did this with the Giants. I know my stuff, okay? And then let these guys play hurt or asking them to play hurt. And when you had that happen to Williamson, where he's going to be out all of next year, and then you throw out the one dude who's under the long-term contract who is going to be the future of your rotation and is your ace after this season. You throw him out for 3 innings, I bet that Krall threw his hands up and he's like, I'm done. We can't have any more risk with these next 5 games. Just get him out of here.
Yeah, it just definitely puts the entire season under the microscope and figuring out what decisions were or weren't being made, what conversations were being had to get us to this point to where we couldn't handle injuries that should have been solved, that would have allowed a player to play majority of the season, and then all of a sudden, no, they are perpetually getting hurt.
Yeah, or TJ Friel. Think about that. He had 5 stints on the IL. And he came back, he would play a little bit, then he'd be hurt again. Come back and play a little bit, he'd be hurt again. Was he ever fully healthy until now? Could he have rested longer and gotten healthier and played and contributed more this year and given this team more wins if he was properly handled, either by the medical staff or properly handled by David Bell by letting him play? And the way that they fired him, I'm going to go with there was some meddling. We just have this whole year we've been thinking there was meddling.
It's the timing of it, of course, at the end of the year, but it came after another injury where a guy who was trying to get back, to be healthy and participate with this year, couldn't do it, and he has has a UCL tear on his third or fourth start coming back, and so that seemed to potentially be a point where there was irreconcilable differences coming from David Bell and Nick Krall. So if we have to really analyze the philosophical differences, this has to be something that you look at.
Yeah, I think this has to be the big one that isn't really being talked about by anybody. And it's kind of been hiding in plain sight. I mean, I'm going to keep going on Brandon Williamson. Started the year with shoulder inflammation. Shut down. Came back in May. Pitched really well in 3 starts. Had shoulder inflammation again. That's when you should have just shut him down for the full year.
Yeah, there was something going on that it hasn't been solved. So let's put it in the hands of the medical staff. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, young pitcher who could have pitched in 2025, but will no longer be able to do it because of a different injury It's crazy. So you don't want the team to literally have ligaments and muscles implode in these last 5 games and be like, all right, let's see if we can get down the stretch.
Yeah, at least he toughed it out, though.
Yeah, really toughed it out. Yeah, cool. Good on you, dude, instead of thinking about the future. Insane. So I wish David the best of luck. I think that what he and Krall did together by bringing the organization, minors and majors as a whole, into the 21st century with a lot of tech and streamlining baseball operations, be it like catching programs, hitting programs, fielding programs, all of that. The pitching program, especially with Derek Johnson, that's stuff that other organizations were doing, and the Reds were not doing that until David Bell got there.
So that's a good thing. That's a nice thumbprint that he's leaving on the Reds organization here, and there was definitely a lot of fun memories with him. I'll say that. I love seeing him yell and get tossed out. Yeah,
I'd love to see that, but then, you know what? If he would have done that on a microphone and held some players accountable publicly, he might still have a job.
Yeah, he was called a players manager. I'm not sure if that just means he didn't hold them accountable or just said, you can tough it out, right? Like that whole thing where it's just like, you don't got to listen to the management. I'm your buddy here. Yeah. So not playing, not doing the hard stuff with the manager, which is getting in somebody's business and telling them why they aren't succeeding.
Yeah, that's what a manager in any level does. They try to get the most out of their employees and or players. And it didn't seem like he was doing that. He would just be like, yeah, I got your back when I get to yell at an umpire.
Yeah, no one can tell me that I'm not doing my job. If I'm getting tossed out and they see me yelling on camera, I'm doing my job.
Yeah, we'll just be better. No, say that the reason you lost this game was because they went off script and stole second base, and say, and that's something we need to fix. Call out the reason, say that we need to fix it. Maybe that's something he can do at his next gig. Mm-hmm. When he goes back and he works for the fucking Cardinals. I'm calling it now, dude. Next year, 2025, David Bell is going to be the bench coach of the St. Louis Cardinals.
I can see it.
Just, then he'd have the David Bell revenge tour.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish him the best, but dude, I cannot wait to bash whatever team dugout he's playing in.
Yeah, me too. Who knows? You might get out of Miami. A bit of news that wasn't surprising and encouraging was that Derek Johnson is sticking around through the 2025 season. He's under contract. He's here. That's another guy that I hope that they can give him an extension, because his department was one of the things that excelled and succeeded. I mean, look at what he's doing with like Jacob Junis, who's going out there throwing 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 3 Ks.
Yeah.
Jacob Junis.
Yeah, this time we're having a lot of our starting pitchers being out. It didn't seem to miss a beat with these younger guys stepping in. So that's something that's working, so we don't need to fix it.
Don't fix it. Don't fix what ain't broke, and extend it. I want DJ around forever.
Ditto.
And I don't think he has any desire to be a manager. I think he just wants to keep being in his pitching lab and developing great pitching.
I love that. Keep him.
Keep him in the building, extend him, keep him around, and have him work with whoever the new manager is.
Yeah, I mean, been one of the brighter spots in the year, both starting, pitching, and bullpen. Also, Tyler Stevenson, not sure how much he's working, with the pitching coach, but there can't not be an effect.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. Did you see what Tyler said after the Bell news? He came out and he was a part of the press conference.
I saw a little bit of it.
So he said that David was holding some of the players accountable. But the big thing he said is, he did create a good culture. He was a good leader. He was a good guy, but we would like to be held a little bit more accountable. And we would like a leader that's going to come in here and take us to the next level and show us how to win. I was like, that's what I'm talking about.
Love it.
That's what I'm talking about. You say something nice and then be like, yeah, we definitely needed an upgrade in voice in there.
Yeah, you give your flowers and you point out some thorns as well.
Yeah. And so, Freddie Benavides has been promoted to interim manager. J.R. House is the bench coach. Colin Cowgill's at third, and now I forget who's at first. So that's how that looks.
Who's at first? Yeah, you got it.
Who's at first? What's at second? Come on. Who are the Reds going to target for their manager search for 2025? Fangraphs put out an awesome list of everyone who is available within different tiers. Coaches with managerial experience, ex-managers between jobs, up-and-comers, and coaching life staffers. So like dudes who have been in baseball forever, who have probably been in like lower tiers of other organizations. It's a long list, and it could change too at the end of the season. Some other unexpected people could get fired. Here's who I would like to see the Reds go after. Skip Schumacher, who is the manager of the Miami Marlins. Look, this year's this year, but last year he took a young team, rallied them together, and took them to the playoffs in 2023. And then 2024, Kim Nang got fired, or she left, whatever it may be. And they just traded everyone away. And after the trade deadline, there were only 2 players left on that active 26-man roster that were on that playoff team.
That's so wild.
How is that Skip's fault?
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. And he seems to be a guy that has a bit more, I don't want to say aggression, but compared to David Bell, he's got more forward momentum, I guess, with his players.
Yeah, he just seems like he's very direct, and that is something that we need. Mm-hmm. That is something that when was the last time you saw like David really get into it in the dugout with a player?
I can't recall him going face to face with somebody and not giving the look like he just might just be. It's just very much like this. Yeah. There's not a lot of. I mean, that's not that you need to be intimidated, but you need to look at that guy, trusting what they're saying.
Yeah, and Skip would just be direct, say it, and be like, "Move on, great, cool, got it." And so, is he a World Series champion? Not with the Reds. I believe he won one with the Cardinals. He played for the Reds. Played for the Cardinals. Like, he's a guy who wants to win and clearly knows how to communicate with his players already and with young players, which is what this core is.
Yeah, I think he'd be a great coach for the Reds. I think he'd be good, in the clubhouse. I really don't know. He's familiar with the organization. So he's one of those names that does kind of stand out amongst the others.
I mean, I think so too. David Ross, I mean, if you look at it, I think the Cubs are going to have a better record last year than they did this year with David Ross.
That's wild.
It's crazy.
Man, and he's also, according to, what I've heard, he's another guy that can, get into a player's face for positive reasons and has no problem raising his voice or telling them exactly what he needs them to hear.
Yeah, he's got that backup catcher energy, where it's like, I'm going to rally the troops. I'm the leader. It's like what everyone's like, man, we love Luke Maile. Imagine having that as your manager.
I like that. A catcher that can communicate with pitchers and the defense, and he's been there before.
He's been there. He gets it. And he played for the Reds. Will Venable is the bench coach for the Texas Rangers. Another dude. If you're the right-hand man to Bruce Bochy, you were coming off winning the World Series last season. That's a good voice to have down there. Mm-hmm. He could bring a lot of leadership in working with young players, and he can just walk in day one and he goes, all right, do you guys want to win? I'll show you how to get one of these. Mm-hmm. Let's go. Yeah, I learned from one of the best of all time. I
really, really want them to hire somebody that has been to the promised land or can give these young players something to feel confident about, like following them, because they've been there before.
Exactly, dude. I will lead you into the fire. We're going to do it. Let's make it happen. Mm-hmm. Danny Lehman is another one that I really like. Bench coach for the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. They are the model of consistent winning. We give them shit for, they're going to lose in the NLDS. Oh, they lost in the NLCS. Oh, the World Series win in 2020 was a Mickey Mouse World Series title. But through and through, they're always in it.
They're a winning organization.
So why not pick from it? I know they spend more money than God and then hide it in an escrow account for Shohei. But, dude, that's just another guy who gets it. And that is someone that you want to come in and be your leader of men.
Yeah, and coming from a big organization where, you might get overshadowed a bit, coming into this place where, feel like I can make my stamp on this organization. I can show them, who I am and take the reins. So that could be a lot of positive energy coming from that background with the Dodgers.
Yeah. And last one on this list, that he's actually not on this list. Supposedly his health is taking a turn for the best, is Terry Francona. If he can do 162, give me that guy all day. He took the Red Sox to the World Series. They broke the curse with him. And then he took the Guardians/Indians, that's what they were called at the time, to the World Series. They lost it in one of the best World Series games I ever watched. He's from the Reds organization. He played for the Reds back in the day. That would be awesome to have him around.
I'd love that. He's a guy maybe not as on the aggressive side of things, but somebody that you could feel confident could tell them exactly why he needs them to do the things he wants them to do to get to, here's how we get from A to B to C, and I need you to pay attention.
I need you to lock in. I need you to do what you're asked. I need you to do what I'm asking of you.
And don't pay attention to why I'm not wearing socks or shoes right now.
And why I'm not wearing shorts and we're on the back of my scooter.
It'd be great for, hanging out with India. Earthing together.
Oh, my, yes. Earthing.
Let's go earthing, bro.
Let's go earthing, dude. Dude, which gem do you have in your butt today? Man. Riding scooters around. Dude, I would find Francona. He would have a scooter. He'd live downtown, and I would just zoom up next to him.
Being a scooter gang, man.
Dude. Beep, beep. Who do you have? I mean, is a very similar list. Is there somebody I missed that you would like to see, possibly?
No, I was thinking David Ross just because I felt like he was going to be a bit more aggressive. I was just trying to think what would be the opposite of David Bell. Yeah. And so I'm thinking of someone that could probably get in the player's ass. So I was thinking maybe, kind of more younger, a guy that has recently played. So I think his energy would be good, but Terry Francona, just the more I'm thinking about him, I know he's not an aggressive by nature fellow, but he's a guy that I feel like could navigate this team through the playoffs.
But it's got to be his health. His health has to be in tip-top shape. It can't be like, I'm taking off 20 games for whatever's going on. I got to... or whatever's going on because I'm old and there's something wrong with me. As much as I just really would not want that to happen. There's someone that is not on any other lists. I don't think anybody's brought him up, who I think should have an interview. And here's why. Pat Kelly, the manager of the Louisville Bats. Hear me out. It was, kind of like a wash year for the Braves. And they were like, well, let's bring up Snitker. He's been with the organization 30 some odd years. He managed this core in AAA. Why not have him coach the big league team and see what happens? And then they exceeded expectations. Is that something that could possibly happen with the big league club. I mean, he was already with them in Louisville, got him through the process. He's beloved by everyone within that organization and beloved by the players that have passed through Louisville. I mean, why not?
They've already worked with him, a lot of them.
Exactly. So that's a guy who could really get him to gel. He doesn't have the championship experience, but you know what? He could lead him. Who knows?
I don't want to rule anything out. There's just so many options out there right now. And yeah, of course, going to look, internally first. And if you do have someone that's vibing for that position,
Yeah. I mean, look, I give him an interview. I'm saying he would be like option 7 or 8.
Throw him in. Give him an interview.
Give an interview. See what's up. Float it around to your team leaders, which are Indy, Stevenson, and Ellie, and Hunter, and be like, what would you think? Really get them to have a little bit of a say on the situation. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know, man. It's interesting.
Yeah, man. It's a good list. I like the names that you brought up. It'll be, like you said, it'll be interesting coming next year to seeing what this whole chemical makeup of this team's going to be. Is it going to be like some personality changes? Is it going to be, a manager that we've seen manage some teams in the past that we're familiar with? Or is it going to be someone we're going to have to, get to know?
Is it someone we're going to have to learn to be like, oh, is this the experience you meant? This is interesting.
This is the accountability?
This is it? Okay. So 5 days after the World Series, we'll know, man. But I hope that this is the signal for them to be like, we're not messing around, and they go out and they spend money and get the dudes that we talk about in the offseason and don't try and overthink it.
Yeah. Oh, and it's not going to be Barry Larkin, whatever you think.
That's God. Dude, shut that shit down immediately.
Yeah, I'm saying that with him looking over my shoulder right now. I love Barry Larkin, but I don't think for managing of this team coming off of David Bell, that's not the energy we want to bring. Also experience, too. He just hasn't managed a professional team.
And if I'm going to bring in a former player, I'm bringing in a catcher. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just the mentality we have from playing forever. But, yeah, dude, just keep him in the booth.
We need Corky Miller.
Dude, oh, my God.
That'd be awesome.
That would fuck so hard.
Yes, it would.
Dude, let's put that energy out there. Corky Miller for Reds manager. Dude.
Mutton chops, mustard stain. Let's go.
Dude, he's just opening up a beer with his fucking handlebar mustache, walking out to argue with the ump. Like, hey, that was a ball.
Yeah, Corky Miller would warm up the pitcher like in between innings. Like he's that type of guy.
Yeah, he is.
When you're catching and he's get his gear on. He's like, all right, I got it. I don't got a minute. I don't need it. Come on now. I'm spinning it.
You don't think this palm's leathered enough?
Come on, brother.
Come on, I got this. Dude, Corky Miller would rule. All right, that's my number one pick for the Reds to hire as a manager is Corky Miller.
There we go.
Done. Solved. I bet he would do it.
It'd be fun. I'd really like it.
God, that would be so sick.
I'd get behind Corky Miller.
Dude, I bet the players would do. They're like, are you fucking serious? Corky, he's the man.
I'd follow him into Valhalla.
Yeah, dude, I would do straight into Valhalla. I am huffing the silver spray paint, and we are going out there,
Let's
baby.
do it, brother.
We're making it happen. God damn, that beat. Dude, all right, yeah, I'm not even messing around. I just want Corky Miller.
Bring it on, Cork.
Bring it on, Cork. We're not really going to dig into last week. We saw Rhett Lauder in person. He looked great.
Looked amazing.
He looks so good. But
very well refined, knows how to use his stuff already, has great 4 pitches that are effective, and he can just place them whenever he wants.
Yeah, whenever he wants, he's just going to look better. He's just going to look better as he progresses, and I can't wait to see him in 2025 be a stable part of this rotation. Saw Paul Skeens in person. That dude is foul.
Man, we were wanting to watch that. See Rhett Lauder and Skeens go against each other. They scratched Skeens, so Billy got to watch that. And dude, I really wanted to watch. Tell me, lay it on me.
Dude, he just could live top of the zone. He was dotting all over the strike zone, and then he would hit you with that splinker, and it was just making everyone look foolish.
Seems so
9
unfair.
Ks in 5 innings. It didn't matter who you were. He was just locked in. He's like, I'm gonna beat you today. I got you. One of the funniest things I saw, though, was after the game at the sportsbook, a guy was wearing a number 30 jersey with Livy Dunn on the back. I was like, this is great. You win, bud. Here you go, pal. Whatever you bet on today will hit because you're in it.
Did you notice the amount of mustaches at the ballpark that were...
Pirates?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, a lot. I just want to let everyone know I've had this mustache.
It's been there.
The trend caught up to me. So, yeah, dude, an absurd amount of mustaches. But, hey, when you got a guy who's on the mound and deals like that, yeah, you're going to influence a lot of upper lips.
Yeah, you are, man.
Yeah, you are. So, but it was very cool to see him. Not cool against the Reds, but still, like, you're like, man, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah, he's one guy you want to watch in person. So I got that. I got to do that.
Yeah, well, good thing we got 2025.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
We got time to buy those tickets.
Oh, man. The most impressive players I saw take the field at Great American Ballpark this year were Whit Merrifield, Jesus Christ, Bobby Witt Jr., Gunnar Henderson, and Paul Skeens.
Yeah, Bobby Witt was probably, besides Ellie, the number one that I got to see this year. It just seemed like, again, we're talking about the Bengals, like you see these players, on the field, like some of them just, they operate differently. And Bobby Witt Jr. just looks different on the field.
Yeah, like we talked about when he was like every little thing. Just the little, like, just the way he would take his first lead. We're like, oh my, dude, that's so good.
The economy of movement he possessed was brilliant. And
with the fluidity. Oh, same with Gunnar, the same way. So yeah, the Reds they lost tonight. They got one more in Cleveland, and then they got 3 in Chicago, and then we're finally put out of our misery for the 2024 season. So, yeah, man, I just can't wait for it to be over.
Yeah, it's been brutal. What a great time to have a Reds baseball podcast.
This year has been. We started since we started when the winter meeting started, and we were like all the way up here. The signings started to happen. We were so hyped, and then we just watched it slowly fall apart. We just watched a plane to start the year lose its landing mechanism, and then just slowly crash for 6 months.
Horrible story arc, awful pacing. It's been the same thing the entire time. A steady flow into the garbage. Jesus, man, I can't wait for next year, and hopefully they get the things kind of leveled out that they need to level out. But man, it has been brutal, and hats off to you Reds fans for enduring this year.
You guys were great. So we'll have some cool stuff for 2025, but we're not done yet. So let's round third and head for home, shall we? What do you got?
I will be filling in for Carl Spaeth this Thursday at Motor Mouth. Coming out there, I'll be hosting. There'll be some funny comics. Billy will be there.
Hey, I'm on it.
I will be also in Louisville this Friday and Saturday, potentially. Come find me at Mr. G's, I believe.
Mr. G Spots, baby.
Yeah, dog, I can't find it.
I can't find it. Never have.
What you got?
Thursday. I'm in Motor Mouth. Come on out. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah.
Jake's coming, so it'll be...
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
Buddy. So, so come to that. So thank you, Sports Drink, for hosting the audio of this podcast. They're a coffee shop in New Orleans. Go check them out. InTheClutch.com. Dude, okay. I have a new collection I'm very excited about that I started. I'll be wearing one of the shirts next week. They just haven't been approved yet. But it is Fantasy Baseball Championship Week. Your championships are decided this week, okay? So I was thinking, like, who are the top performers for the year? And I came up with a list. It's very long. And I now have a bunch of shirts coming out on In the Clutch that say, so-and-so helped me win my fantasy league. And so I've got, like, Zach Wheeler helped me win my fantasy league. Jake Berger helped me win my fantasy league. And Jake Berger did for me, dude. He had the second most amount of home runs in the National League in the second half. I picked him up off the wire, and he propelled me.
Well, hot dang.
How about that? I got the rest of this week, but Jake Berger, keep it up, dude. Keep hitting them homers, and then I'm going to be wearing a shirt that says, Jake Berger helped me win my fantasy league.
How about it? That's cool.
It's so cool. Every top performer, even dudes who got hot in the second half, like Eugenio Suarez, got them all covered. InTheClutch.com, promo code NASTYBOYS, 10% off. Do it up. So, and thanks for having me in the Fart Dunge.
Hey, anytime, brother. I feel like next year there's going to be some happier stank going on down here. But there was a lot of stuff to watch, a lot of interesting things. We still got a few more games left, but always good to have you down here, regardless of what's happening.
I'm telling you, next year it's not going to be a bitter stank. Sweet, sweet stank of victory.
Ooh, can't wait for it.
I can't either. And thank you for watching and or listening. And as always, go Red Legs.
Go Red Legs!